day 14th of month of Biz Love. Today's challenge is to identify your obstacles. I'm Tara Swigert, and I help makers and artists love their businesses. And one of the ways we are doing that right now is through this live 30-day month of Biz Love. You can find the workbook where you will find all these challenges plus more questions plus ideas for what to share on Instagram with the community. You'll find all that in the workbook at taraswigert.com/monthofbizlove. You put in your email address, I will send you the workbook. And you will also find the whole community of people sharing their ideas, their obstacles, their challenges at the hashtag monthofbizlove on Instagram. And you will find the playlist of all of the videos up to this point on YouTube in my Month of Biz Love playlist. You can also just search YouTube Month of Biz Love all together like that. It will show them all to you. If you're watching on YouTube, in the description below will be links to everything I mentioned. So let's get right into today's challenge, which is for you to identify the obstacles. I want you to identify the obstacles that are between you and the goal that you set. A couple days ago in the challenge, I asked you to set a goal for the next 1 to 3 months, the thing you want to have accomplished that will move you closer to your dream business and your mission. Now remember, we started the challenge looking at your dream business and your mission and then where you are now. The reason we did that is so that you can get a clear idea of what you need to do to go from where you are now to where you want to go. And then we break that down into actual things you'll do by setting a goal. So it might be a while before you're at your dream business, before you feel like you're fully realizing your mission, both internal and external. So what is something you can accomplish in the next 1 to 3 months? That's your goal. And then we've been breaking that down into individual quests you can go on in one day, something you can do within 24 hours to get you closer to the goal. So the idea behind all of this is that you're moving forward, but you're not moving just randomly. You're not scattered. You know you're moving towards your dream business. That is so key to loving your business, to know that you're actually moving towards the business you want. And you've heard me say that for the last couple of days now. However, as you're moving forward, there will be obstacles. They just will be there. Some people think it's kind of negative or they don't want to focus on the obstacles. And dudes, we are not going to focus on it. Tomorrow we are going to turn our attention to your strengths. But for today, we need to identify them. It is so important for you to recognize what is standing in the way between you and your goal and you and your dream. It's very important for you to identify those things so that you can come up with ways of overcoming them. Because things are going to be hard. It's going to be work to work towards the business that you want. But if you just work away without paying attention to what's going on or what is getting in your way and you just try to plow through it, well, that's a very slow way of going. Instead, when you identify obstacles, A, you get prepared. You know what's coming, or at least you have some idea that things are going to come up. So you're not knocked off your game when they happen. So you don't get stuck in the slog of, oh no, this isn't what I thought. We're going to identify these obstacles so you don't get totally overwhelmed by them. We're also going to identify the obstacles so that you can come up with ways of dealing with them, so that you can come up with ways of either overcoming the obstacle, defeating the obstacle, or just working with the obstacle. Some obstacles you can't get rid of, you just need to work around. Right? So by identifying it, it's going to keep you moving forward so that when you come upon them, you're not surprised and you think, hey, I have a way of already dealing with this. Now, there will absolutely be surprise obstacles in your business and in your life, things you did not anticipate. But the more that you've gotten really good at identifying obstacles and identifying ways around them, you're actually building your muscles for dealing with unknown, unexpected obstacles in the future. It's like, if it's like a video game, it's like you're powering up and you're leveling up each time you defeat a bad guy at the end of the level. Right? So every time you figure out how to overcome the obstacles, little or big, you get better at overcoming obstacles, even ones you weren't anticipating. And that actually builds your flexibility and your resilience, which are two things that psychologists have shown are really, really important in reaching your goals or building the kind of life that you want. Resiliency and flexibility. So in identifying obstacles, you start to practice being resilient and flexible even before you deal with them. So to identify your obstacles, you can really just think about you, where you are, your goal, where you want to be, and the things you got to do, right? The quests that you're going to go on to get there, and then what obstacles might get in your way when you do them. Also, what has gotten in your way in the past? Why haven't you already reached this goal? If it's something you wanted to do for a while, why haven't you? And write those down. This is not to beat yourself up, because this is not you. This is the obstacle. The obstacle is going to be there, whether you identify it or not, whether you're you or you're someone else. So many artists and makers get trapped in the, oh, I didn't do this before because I suck, because I didn't know enough, because I didn't work hard enough, because I didn't do this. Okay, all of those things are obstacles. Stop thinking about it as being you and start thinking about it as being a thing you're going to overcome. When you take it outside of yourself and you think of it as something separate from just who you are, it also becomes much easier for you to brainstorm and you get more creative about how to overcome it. So I want you to think through the obstacles. And when I talk to people about this, often they talk about either fear of failure or fear of success. And I have podcast episodes about both of those. My podcast is Explore Your Enthusiasm. You'll find it on iTunes or Stitcher or just at tarsweiger.com. You can search through those podcast episodes for fear of success, in which I talk about both fear of failure and fear of success. Here's the thing though. That fear is an obstacle, but now that you've set this goal and gone on a couple quests, you've already overcome the fear a little bit. So I'd like you to not just stop at an obstacle is my fear of failure or an obstacle is my fear of success, but instead think through, how do they present? How do they show themselves to you? If they were a disease, what would the symptoms be? And then how do you use that fear of success or fear of failure to find roadblocks? Like how does it spark roadblocks for you? What actually happens? Okay, so an example, I'm going to give you a couple examples. So an example might be if I wanted to run a marathon, I might make a strategy goal, which we talked about types of goals a couple weeks ago. I might make a strategy goal that I want to run 3 times a week. Now, if that's my goal, I'm going to run 3 times a week for the next, let's say, 8 weeks. Here are some of the roadblocks that might get in my way. Yeah, I might be afraid that I fail at the marathon, but what's really going to be, if I've already made the strategy and planned to do it, what's actually going to get in my way are a couple things. One, I call the puppy snuggle monster. This is when my dogs both get in bed in the morning and are too cute for me to leave the bed. If I'm going to run in the morning and I get stuck snuggling for an extra half hour, then I'll feel like I don't have time to run and get a shower and get cleaned up and then go to work because I don't want to start my work day late, right? And if you work a job where you have to be there at a specific time, the puppy snuggle monster might completely keep you from working out, so you can't both work out and get to work on time. Another bad guy or obstacle might be the snooze button. If you hit the snooze button too much instead of getting up to run. Another obstacle would be staying up too late on my phone, shopping for fabric, which is what I did last night. So I go to bed too late so that I can't wake up and I don't have the energy when I wake up to do anything. Okay, another obstacle might be not being hydrated, feeling dehydrated after my run, and so I feel too bad and it makes me draggy the rest of the day, so I don't want to run the next day. So you see, those are specific obstacles that then you can create strategies for getting around those obstacles. And we're going to talk tomorrow about your strengths, and these strengths are going to help you come up with strategies to go around the obstacles. So a strategy for going over the snuggle monster is I could have my husband take the dogs out of the room when he gets up. He gets up a little bit before I do. I could also make this strategy of, so what if I snuggle for 5 minutes? I can still get up and run, right? So instead of letting it totally derail my morning, I could, which often is actually just an excuse. I'll be like, oh no, I snuggled too long, right? I could just decide that's not an excuse and run anyhow. There are a bunch of strategies you could come up with each obstacle. Now, that is not a business-based example. So let me give you a business-based example. If your goal was to create or have, okay, your dream business has a certain level of sales, and so your goal in the next 3 months is to increase sales, let's say to $2,000 a month. If that's your goal, what are some of the obstacles that could get in your way? Well, you might not have enough product in your shop. If you don't have at least $2,000 worth of product in your shop, you're not going to be able to make $2,000. So an obstacle to so a quest would be to put enough stuff in your shop. and you'd break that down even to smaller chunks, making the products, photographing the products, listing the products. Now, what are the obstacles that might get in your way? Time, running out of time to make the products, or running out of materials to make the products. Okay, so you can come up with strategies for overcoming those obstacles. For photographing your product, an obstacle might be rainy days. So you can come up with a strategy for how you're going to avoid being derailed by a rainy day. One of the strategies might be just working with the rainy day and deciding your photograph the next day. What really stops people when it comes to obstacles is that often we come across an obstacle we weren't expecting because we hadn't thought it through ahead of time when we made our plan. We come across it and we decide, that's it. Like, we totally fall off the wagon, we fall down the hill, we just like, no, it's not happening. So nothing. We become all or nothing about it. Either I can take the photographs on the day I plan to take the photographs, or forget it, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of the day. Now, that is really going to derail you. Whereas if you're expecting that obstacle, the strategy can be, if I can't take photographs tomorrow, I can instead do X, right? Maybe you write your blogs even though you were planning on writing them a day later. Or maybe you do something else instead of photographing that also moves your business forward. So a lot of these strategies can just be coming up with a bunch of different quests you can do if you run into an obstacle with one of them. So you want to list your obstacles so that you know how to deal with them. I hope that helped you think through what you are going to come across on your way towards your goal. Remember, it's important to set the goal. It's important to break it down into doable chunks, which the map making guide can help you do. You can find that at tarasweiger.com/map. But it's also important to recognize what is going to get in your way and then come up with a plan for working with it. The worst case scenario is not that you come across an obstacle. The worst case scenario is that you let that obstacle derail you for days and days and days, and you take that obstacle to mean you shouldn't do what you're doing until you stop doing it. So that's why I want you to look clearly at the obstacles. Another way of thinking about these are the bad guys at the end of a video game level. And that you, by thinking through who they are and what their strengths are and what your strengths are, you can come up with strategies to defeat those bad guys at the end of the level. We talked a couple days ago about your goal being like a level on a video game. It's okay if you don't pass it the first time. You just start again at the beginning and you go through it again, this time with everything you've learned in mind, so you're going to be better at playing the game. The same thing is true of these obstacles. It is okay to come up against them again and again and again. Something like a rainy day or the puppy snuggle monster, you're going to experience that again and again. There's nothing wrong with that being an obstacle. The key is to know how you're going to deal with the obstacle when it comes up. So I want you to think about your goal, what your strategy is, what your tasks are, and what are some of the obstacles that could come up. List those obstacles. Share them with us on Instagram so that your friends and fellow biz lovers can get an idea for how to deal with your own obstacles. Make sure you use the hashtag #monthofbizlove. If you don't have the workbook yet, what are you waiting for? Go download it, tarasweiger.com/monthofbizlove. Before we end, I just want to let you know that this is day 14. There's been a new lesson and challenge every day. So if you feel like you're not keeping up or you're behind, you're not behind. There is no behind. Work through it at your own pace. Several people have told me they like to do a couple challenges at a time each time they sit down. Keep in mind, you have a lot going on in your business and your life. So work on Month of Biz Love when it works for you. When you find a couple things that are helping you love your business more, it's enough if you just start implementing those. All right? So the goal is for you to love your business more, not for you to feel stressed out like you have to do your homework. That said, if what your business needs from you right now is a commitment, then commit to working on the Month of Biz Love until it's over. It's totally fine if you're joining us just now for the first time, or you joined us when we started May 25th. Wherever you join in is perfectly fine. You can find all the video lessons on YouTube. The workbook has all the challenges, and the Instagram community will be alive forever. So share your obstacles there with the hashtag #monthofbizlove. Thank you so much, and have a really, really fantastic obstacle crushing day.